Harry may have to spend millions, because loser typically pays when you lose a lawsuit in the UK. And he, to put it frankly, got his ass handed to him by this judge.
So I have been told that he actually has asked Elton to give him some money for Invictus. Elton has said no because court case is such a big deal now. He asked Elton before the judge came down with the ruling, but Elton kind of saw where the wind was blowing and he was like, because as the Times of London said, Elton and Harry assured everyone else they would take care of the fees, but doesn't have that. Elton is actually quite upset with Harry for several reasons. I have been told that he actually has asked Elton to give him some money for Invictus. Elton has said no. Some people have said he's going really off his rocker. You know, this has been so bad. It's literally the week where nothing went right. It's his worst week in 30 years.
For years, Prince Harry and Sir Elton John seemed to share one of the strongest friendships in Harry's life. Their connection stretched back to Princess Diana and survived decades of public attention. But now, fresh reports suggest that relationship may have reached a breaking point. According to claims circulating among royal commentators, one short sentence changed everything. I am not an ATM. If those reports are accurate, the remark reportedly came after another difficult chapter in Harry's legal battles. Instead of finding the support many expected, the story now being discussed is that one of Diana's closest friends may finally have decided enough was enough. Whether every detail is exactly as described remains open to debate, but the claims have certainly sparked intense conversation. To understand why people are reacting so strongly, you have to look at the timing. Just days after Prince Harry's latest legal defeat in London, attention quickly shifted from the courtroom itself to the financial consequences that followed.
He used to have the Bank of England and now he's got the Bank of Elton. Harry needs a lot of money for Invictus. The only reason he went to England this summer is to raise funds for Invictus Birmingham 2027. He is £25 million short.
I don't think you lose the case, but I'm saying that he might have lost Elton John. Like,
yes,
this, he's apparently, Elton John's told him, this was according to Paul Freilich, I think you interviewed.
Yeah.
I'm not an ATM.
Commentators have suggested the case could leave those involved facing enormous legal expenses, with reports estimating the total costs could reach tens of millions of pounds. Among the names frequently linked to the wider legal battle is Sir Elton John. According to several reports and commentators, Harry allegedly approached Elton again after the case had already created major financial pressure. The claims are that the request was not directly about covering the legal bill itself, but involved seeking additional support at a moment when Elton was reportedly growing frustrated with the entire situation.
Elton John may be called upon for Harry's legal bills because the legal bills, and I think we're about to find out in the next week how much he could be up for, could be in the tens of thousands. And that might actually bankrupt him, which would be a disaster because let's be honest, every venture that these two have been on has been a disaster. I don't know how much money that they're getting. And so Elton, according to Paula, has had enough because he might be the one that has to bail him out because initially, before this case started, Elton had actually said that he would help Harry.
That is where the now widely repeated phrase, I am not an ATM, is said to have entered the story. Whether those exact words were ever spoken publicly has not been confirmed. Still, the alleged remark has quickly become the centre of discussion because of what it appears to represent. Many royal observers believe it symbolises a friendship that may have reached its limits after years of loyalty, shared history, and increasingly complicated circumstances. To understand why this situation has captured so much attention, it's worth looking back at where their relationship began. This was never just another celebrity friendship built around public appearances. Sir Elton John and Princess Diana shared a genuinely close bond that lasted for years.
Well, Elton, to be fair, brought Harry into this, introduced Harry to David Sherborne. And then Harry brought in Doreen Lawrence. And I think they really thought they would have this huge, strong claim if like all 7 of them, because there was, of course, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, or Simon Hughes as well, if they all were together as a group. 97 freaking complaints made, and they were all tossed out.
When Diana tragically passed away in 1997, Elton performed a rewritten version of Candle in the Wind during her funeral at Westminster Abbey, creating one of the most memorable moments of that historic service. The performance became part of royal history. The special version of the song reportedly raised tens of millions of dollars for Diana's memorial fund, and Elton chose never to perform that version again afterward. He explained that it belonged solely to Diana's memory, making the tribute a once-in-a-lifetime moment. After Diana's passing, Elton remained close to both Prince William and Prince Harry. Over the years, he became much more than a famous family friend. In legal documents submitted during previous court proceedings, Elton's husband, David Furnish, even described Elton as having served as something of a parental figure in Harry's life. That description gives people a very different perspective on why today's reported tensions seem so significant.
He has $4 million from corporates and anonymous donors. He needs $25 million more. And this was supposed to be a big triumphant return. He was going to go glad hand people and really get them to open their wallets.
He walks into a room and people respond to him and they like him. He used to be fun.
Yeah.
He was a fun guy, but he's turned into an embittered middle-aged man. And he's going to have to be very careful because it bleeds into your everyday work, that you're just hostile and agree.
Their bond goes back decades. In 2007, Harry reportedly asked Elton to perform Candle in the Wind once again during a concert honouring Diana. Elton respectfully declined, explaining that revisiting the song felt too emotional. Instead, he chose to perform Your Song, offering a tribute that honoured Diana without reopening old wounds. Many people saw that decision as Elton trying to protect Harry while also respecting the memory of his mother. Harry himself has publicly spoken with affection about Elton over the years. In his memoir, he described the singer warmly, writing that he loved him and always would. Those comments reflected a relationship built on trust, shared memories, and decades of personal history. That long connection is exactly why the latest reports have generated so much attention, because if the friendship truly has reached this point, it marks a remarkable change in one of the most enduring relationships surrounding Prince Harry. For a long time, Sir Elton John never seemed to hesitate when it came to supporting Prince Harry. When Harry married Meghan Markle in 2018, Elton was there celebrating alongside the royal family, performing at the wedding reception and taking part in one of the biggest days of Harry's life.
So I have been told that he actually has asked Elton to give him some money for Invictus. Elton has said no because court case is such a big deal now. He asked Elton before the judge came down with the ruling, but Elton kind of saw where the wind was blowing and he was like, because as the Times of London said, Elton and Harry assured everyone else they would take care of the fees, but doesn't have that.
It was another reminder of how close their relationship had become over the years. That support continued well beyond the wedding. In 2019, when Harry and Meghan faced intense media attention, Elton publicly defended them almost immediately. Instead of remaining silent, he released a statement expressing concern about the level of press scrutiny they were experiencing. He said he felt a personal responsibility to help protect Harry and his family because, in his view, intrusive media coverage had played a role in the difficulties Princess Diana faced during her lifetime. Many people saw that as more than a celebrity offering a few supportive words. Royal commentators often described Elton as someone who consistently stood beside Harry during some of the most difficult moments of his adult life. That history is exactly why the latest reports surrounding their friendship have surprised so many people. The legal case at the centre of this discussion is a matter of public record. Recently, the High Court dismissed the remaining parts of the privacy claims brought against the publisher of the Daily Mail. The judgment itself spans hundreds of pages, with the court rejecting the outstanding allegations after a lengthy legal process.
He is still angry about a story in a newspaper from 20 years ago. And if you upset this prince, he's going to get you. Doesn't matter how long it takes. He's going to come for you. He went for the newspaper and then he went for the individual journalist. journalists and really went after them in the most vicious way. First of all, it was an absolute resounding beating. It was thrown out, and the judge was almost annoyed that this had got as far as it had. People were perplexed. When Harry started this, when he went after the Daily Mail, this was for stories a long time ago. Talk about holding a grudge. Talk about not being able to move on. Him and Meghan present themselves as happier than ever, living in Montecito, and here's Harry still fighting battles from decades ago. So nobody really understood why he was doing this. I know from my sources he was advised not to do this. Any reputable lawyer that he spoke to in London would tell him this is almost impossible to prove, and hence
Prince Harry was not pursuing the case on his own. Several well-known public figures were also involved, including Baroness Doreen Lawrence, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, Sir Elton John, and David Furnish. Together, they formed part of the wider legal action, and when the court ruled against the claims, every claimant was affected by the outcome. The financial consequences have since become one of the biggest talking points. Reports have suggested that the legal costs connected to the proceedings could total more than £50 million.
Because he mistook, and that's the $53 million mistake that he made. When I was just looking in a cursory way at the evidence that they were, and knowing some of the witness, I thought I wouldn't have put on him winning. And I'm astonished that the court case, that the case went to court initially, that he wasn't told, you're onto a loser.
While the exact financial responsibilities have been widely debated, commentators have focused heavily on who may ultimately be responsible for covering those expenses. According to reports circulating after the ruling, some participants in the case had reportedly been reassured early in the process that they personally would not have to shoulder the legal costs if things went badly. Commentators have claimed that much of the financial responsibility was expected to fall elsewhere if necessary. Although the exact arrangements have never been fully detailed publicly. That has led to widespread speculation about Sir Elton John's position. Because of his considerable wealth, some commentators have questioned whether he could now face significant financial exposure connected to the case. Those claims remain the subject of public discussion, but they have added another layer to the reported tension between him and Prince Harry. Harry, meanwhile, reacted strongly to the court's decision. After the judgment was handed down, he criticised the ruling publicly, describing it as a whitewash.
He calls it a complete and obvious whitewash. We came to court seeking justice and accountability. We have received neither. For a royal, which he technically is still a royal, those are fighting words because they're taught to be respectful of the systems, to tread lightly when you're talking about folks like judges. But no, he let him have it because he lost this one and he can't.
Not reliable narrators of their own history. The one thing that really irritates me, for example, Meghan saying, the men in grey took the keys off me, my passport. And so on. You don't need to lock your house up in Kensington Palace. There's enough police there to, she didn't have a car, so there were no car keys. She went around the world. No, they're not credible witnesses, and found Harry not to be credible because he was mistaking
His comments immediately generated debate because the judge had issued a detailed explanation running hundreds of pages, outlining the legal reasoning behind the decision. Legal analysts have noted that cases of this nature are notoriously difficult to win, and several reports suggested that experienced lawyers had long viewed the challenge as an uphill battle. Even so, Harry chose to continue with the case until its conclusion, making the defeat one of the most closely watched legal setbacks of recent years. One detail has attracted particular attention among royal observers. Although Harry publicly criticised the court's decision, Sir Elton John didn't join those remarks. His name was absent from the criticism directed at the judgment, something many commentators quickly noticed.
The entire team was really kind of put together by Elton John. Notice Elton John's name was not. There are also concerns from the group that the insurers could attempt to fight the claim if the judge makes a punitive award based on his criticisms of the claimants. In his 436-page judgment, Nicklin criticized the litigants for relying on rather than evidence, and said they were on Gavin Burrows, the witness who a source told the Times the damning nature of the judgment was not anticipated, and some of the claimants are now genuinely concerned that the insurance companies, the likes, and now meanwhile they will fight the claim, but as to who's going to pay, the likes of Baroness Lawrence and Sadie Frost will not have to pay a penny, the source said. Lawrence was given assurances at the outset that, in this eventuality, she would not have to pay. The Duke of Sussex made it clear he would not allow her to be out of pocket. It will be Harry and Elton, of course, who will pay. I've been reporting that obviously the finances are in big doo-doo. He's got 1 week or 2 weeks, however long he stays. He was here 1 week. We'll see how long they stay for, to raise $25 million. Who the hell wants to be associated with Harry right now? It's the whole Sentabali problem. You know, his brand is dragging down the event.
While there could be many reasons for that silence, it has fueled fresh speculation that the once close friendship may no longer be as strong as it appeared for so many years. This is where the story reportedly takes its biggest turn. For many royal commentators, the courtroom defeat was only part of the problem. According to claims that have been circulating, Prince Harry also arrived in Britain hoping to secure additional financial backing for another major project. The focus, according to those reports, was the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. Commentators have claimed the event still needs significant funding, with some reports suggesting the financial gap could be around £25 million.
Sykes actually went to the Birmingham Invictus event on Friday, and this is what it looked like.
Yeah,
I mean,
I saw that live. It was fascinating. It was so great to have that on the ground.
nobody is there.
And if you look cost of Invictus, the security, that the investment in every Invictus event, the cost is unbelievable.
Yeah.
To the point that if I was a fundraiser, if it was my job to raise money for Invictus and I saw how much we were spending to protect Harry and Meghan,
Correct.
when they come out for their to be mascots, basically, I would think that the return on investment was not there.
No, it's not. And one of the reasons why it's not there is they will have an allocated budget. And within that budget for this event, there will be the security allocation, which will look at all the sort of endemic risks and generic risk face. And again, having been involved in some major events where world leaders have turned up and heads of state, who's turning up and who's bringing a potential problem with them. Now, if Harry's camp is saying, yes, he's at significant risk, that means they're going to have to allocate more of the budget, which would be otherwise attributed to other parts of the games, to his security, which just doesn't make any kind of sense. So ultimately, he's putting a greater burden on the event than it needs to have.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to stop him zooming in on a big screen to the event from his comfortable living room in Montecito to say,
Or
right,
just
Those figures have not been officially confirmed, but they have become a major part of the conversation surrounding Harry's recent visit. Fundraising was expected to be an important objective. Reports suggest previous efforts had already attracted millions of pounds alongside government support, and many believed this latest round of meetings would bring in even more backing from wealthy supporters and long-time allies. Instead, according to several commentators, those hoped-for contributions did not materialise as expected. That has led to one question being repeated over and over. If traditional fundraising was proving difficult, who would Harry turn to next? According to the claims now circulating, the answer was someone who had supported him for decades, Sir Elton John. Royal observers point out that Elton has stood by Harry through countless personal and public challenges, making him one of the prince's closest and most trusted supporters outside the royal family. But this is where the reports become especially dramatic. According to commentators, Harry allegedly sought additional financial support, even while the ongoing legal battle was still creating uncertainty over potentially enormous legal costs involving several claimants, including Elton himself. If those reports are accurate, many observers believe it placed Elton in an extremely uncomfortable position. That is where the now famous phrase reportedly entered the story. Sources quoted by several commentators have claimed Elton's response was simple: "I am not an ATM."
Harry also kind of stuck the knife in when he gave his statement to the press. It was rushed. It was hurried. It was a huge tantrum. He basically said that Justice Nicklin was corrupt and involved in a whitewashing of the system and didn't do his job properly. This is a huge problem, Danica, because the judge can also decide what the damages are and if he can lift a cap. And that's not happening until the end of July. And Elton is said to be furious because this will likely cost Elton millions and millions more.
Whether those exact words were spoken privately has never been independently confirmed, but the quote has spread rapidly across royal coverage because it captures what many believe was growing frustration after years of unwavering support. Commentators have suggested Elton's reported refusal was about much more than a single request. In their view, it reflected the feeling that there had to be limits, especially while the financial consequences of the legal case were still unfolding. If that interpretation is correct, it would represent a remarkable shift in one of Harry's longest-standing friendships. The wider discussion has also brought renewed attention to Prince Harry's finances.
Here are Prince Harry's estimated bills. Just per year. This is just for this year, minus this actual court case. He's got for staffing. And now I put it in pounds, so I'm going to say it in dollars. Staffing is $250,000. Mortgage payment is $500,000. His security costs are $4 million a year. He already owes $1.5 million because after he lost to the Home Office, suing Ravik, right now, just this year, without this case alone, he's on the bill for over $6 million this year.
Despite major commercial deals over recent years, including high-profile media projects and the publication of his memoir, reports suggest much of his personal wealth still comes from family inheritances, rather than ongoing income alone. According to publicly reported estimates, Harry's personal fortune is often placed at around $22 million, although exact figures vary. Commentators also note that maintaining private security, staffing, property expenses, and other commitments reportedly requires millions of dollars every year. On top of that, previous legal proceedings have added further costs, increasing speculation about the long-term financial pressure he may be facing.
Here's his income. He makes $1 million a year as the Chief Impact Officer for Better Up. That's about it. His total assets around 22 million because that is the inheritance from his mother and his grandmother. But even if it's in the market, right, and you've got interest and all that, 6 to 7 million a year this year is going to take a whack out of that.
Those financial questions became even more noticeable after one of Harry's recent podcast appearances. During the conversation, he was asked what he does for a living. His answer moved through several parts of his identity, mentioning being a prince, a military veteran, and a father, before eventually referring to himself as the Duke of Sussex. That exchange quickly attracted attention online, with many commentators suggesting it reflected the unusual position Harry now occupies after stepping away from official royal duties. Taken together, the reported fundraising difficulties, mounting legal costs, and ongoing public scrutiny have led many royal observers to describe this as one of the most challenging periods Harry has faced in recent years. Whether every report proves accurate or not, the growing discussion surrounding both his finances and his relationships shows no sign of slowing down.
I can tell you he's probably paying about $5,000 a day for his security, from what I could see. What his configuration of the security is and how many people he's got, but I'm not going to share that because that would be intrinsically
That would be a violation. We're not violators.
Occupation. Full-time dad, British Army veteran. But for today, I don't know. What do you want? Duke?
We go with the Duke, yeah.
He doesn't have a job. He was in the army for a while. I think we have to tip our hats to that a little bit, but he did get special treatment. Let's be very clear about that too. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't know what it is to get up and work every day. He doesn't know what it is to hustle every day. He has extraordinary privilege, and it's just too bad that he's decided to squander it and to waste it. And that's what I think makes people so angry here, is that Harry is always complaining, always moaning, and you just want to
Many royal commentators believe this situation reflects a much broader pattern. Over the years, Harry and Meghan have been linked to several high-profile friendships that appeared incredibly close before later cooling off. Public discussion has frequently pointed to names such as David and Victoria Beckham, Oprah Winfrey, and George and Amal Clooney as examples of relationships that, according to commentators, no longer seem as visible as they once were. Whether those changes happened for the reasons people speculate is impossible to know from the outside. Still, the latest reports involving Sir Elton John have encouraged many royal observers to revisit those earlier stories and ask whether another long-standing friendship has now reached its limit. Reports have also suggested there may be disagreements behind the scenes over Harry's legal strategy. Some commentators have claimed Meghan was unhappy that the legal battle continued despite the growing financial risks and public scrutiny. Those reports remain unconfirmed, but they have added another layer to the discussion surrounding the couple during an already difficult period.
Costs coming in that they've done, but this Elton John could save? Could he? Well, Rob Shooter's coming in saying, this may cost him Harry's and Elton John's friendship. The lawsuit became Harry's obsession, and not everyone wanted to go down with the ship. Elton supported him, but support has limits. The Duke and Duchess has developed a troubling pattern. People are incredibly loyal to Harry and Meghan until they aren't. The friendship starts strong, something changes, and suddenly they're out. Elton may be the latest name added to the increasingly long list. Of being markled? The list includes the Beckhams, Oprah Winfrey, George and Amal Clooney, who are all former allies who are some of their fiercest supporters, but now, nope.
One thing that should not be overlooked is Sir Elton John's own situation. At 78 years old, he has spoken publicly about experiencing serious vision problems. He has addressed the issue himself with remarkable honesty, continuing to work while adapting to major changes in his health. That reality makes the reported claims surrounding their friendship feel even more striking to many observers. On one side is a music legend dealing with significant personal challenges later in life. On the other is someone reportedly seeking support during one of the most difficult chapters of his public life. Whether every detail is accurate or not, the contrast has become one of the most talked about aspects of the story. For many commentators, this has become about far more than legal bills or fundraising efforts. They argue that if the reported breakdown in the friendship is genuine, it represents the possible end of one of Harry's oldest and most meaningful personal connections.
Reap what you sow. But it just points to Harry's arrogance and entitlement, doesn't it, Paula? Because he's not a good team player. I mean, obviously, everybody that was involved in that case that is going to be liable for costs, and like you say, that's down to the Justice Nicklin, who is going to determine how that all pans out, as well as the insurance companies. Of course, this could put that at risk. But Harry just goes off and shoots off his mouth, as he has done all his life, leaves other people to clean up. But this time, he hasn't got the palace cleaning up his mess. So, consequences are going to come home in the form of a rather costly settlement, I would imagine.
Sir Elton John was not simply another celebrity acquaintance. His friendship with Princess Diana was well known, and after her passing, he remained close to her sons for many years. That long history has led many people to view him as one of the last remaining figures who personally knew Diana and continued supporting Harry well into adulthood. According to the reports now circulating, that decades-long bond may finally have been pushed to its limit. Commentators have claimed Harry involved Elton in an expensive legal battle and later sought further financial assistance during a period when the consequences of that case were still unfolding. Those claims have not been independently confirmed in full, but they continue to dominate discussion across royal media. If the reports are accurate, many observers believe the reported refusal was not simply about money. Instead, they see it as a sign that even the strongest friendships have boundaries, regardless of how much shared history exists between two people. That is why so much attention has shifted away from the courtroom itself and toward the personal relationships surrounding the case.
All of his problems are someone else's fault. The media is number one on his list, who he blames for Princess Diana's death. He blames for everything bad that's ever happened to him. Of course, he blames the royal family for half of this as well. And to the point where he's filed multiple lawsuits against journalists who have far less power than he does, because unlike virtually every other public figure, including Wills and Kate, he will never take it like a man and understand that the enormous privilege of having the palaces and the crown jewels and the name and the titles and all the access that gets you does have a downside.
Some commentators argue that this is no longer simply a dispute involving the press, the royal family, or legal proceedings. Instead, they believe it has become a story about trust, loyalty, and whether decades of goodwill can survive repeated public and private pressures. If Sir Elton John has truly decided to step back, many royal observers believe Harry now faces one of the biggest personal challenges of all. With continuing legal expenses, ongoing public scrutiny, and questions surrounding some of his longest-standing relationships, commentators are increasingly asking what comes next. Whatever the answer may be, this latest chapter has ensured that the conversation surrounding Prince Harry is unlikely to quiet down anytime soon. No matter which side of this story you believe, one question continues to stand above all the others. If the reports about Sir Elton John stepping back are even partly accurate, what does that mean for Prince Harry going forward? For decades, Elton was viewed as one of the few people outside the royal family with a deeply personal connection to both Harry and Princess Diana. If that relationship has truly changed, many royal commentators believe it could mark the end of an important chapter in Harry's life. Of course, only the people directly involved know exactly what has happened behind closed doors. Public reports, commentary, and speculation can only tell part of the story. Still, the legal defeat, the reported financial pressure, and the questions surrounding Harry's closest friendships have combined to create one of the biggest royal talking points of the year. It is a story that continues to develop, and there will almost certainly be more twists before everything is settled. Now I'd like to hear what you think. Do you believe the report suggesting Sir Elton John has finally reached his limit after years of supporting Prince Harry? Or do you think the situation has been exaggerated and that the friendship is being unfairly judged from the outside?
He's done has been picky battle. For a soldier, he takes on all comers at all times, like a fairground boxer. Buckingham Palace, his father, his brother. He doesn't know when to hang on a minute, let's stand back. But then again, you can argue made by reasonable people. And Harry's not a reasonable person.
Isn't writing a check for Harry and no one is rushing to rescue him. The entire case was a colossal miscalculation. The money will hurt, but losing the trust and loyalty of powerful friends may end up costing Harry even.
Share your thoughts in the comments below, because this is one of those stories where opinions are completely divided, and it will be interesting to see where everyone stands. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth coverage of the biggest celebrity and royal stories making headlines, don't forget to leave a like on the video. It really helps more people discover the channel and lets me know you're enjoying this type of content. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. There are plenty more celebrity stories, royal updates, and behind-the-scenes developments to cover, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Also, if you're looking for another fascinating celebrity story, take a look at the video that's appearing on your screen right now. It dives into another major controversy that's been getting everyone talking, and if you enjoyed this one, there's a good chance you'll enjoy that one just as much. Thanks so much for watching, thanks for all your support, and thanks for being part of the conversation. Share this video with someone else who follows the royal family or celebrity news, and let's see what they think about this story too. I'll see you in the next one.